just off the Californian coast by San Diego, and it was on these waters 14 years ago that the United States lost the America's Cup. Could this be the machine that brings the oldest trophy in sport back to the US?
The US BMW Oracle racing team, led by Larry Ellison, with 3-time Cup winner Russell Coutts as his CEO, has created this monster to win the next America's Cup. It's radical, state-of-the-art, and 1 million miles from the monohulls raced in the last 5 Cups. But the story of how it came to be over the last 3 years is littered with a controversy that has come to define the modern-day competition. The America's Cup is a challenge competition. One yacht club and their sailing team holds it, another yacht club and its team challenges. In recent decades, the event has become so popular that challenger trials have been necessary to decide who races the holder. When the Swiss Alinghi team defended the 32nd America's Cup in 2007 and crossed the line in Valencia winners, they accepted a challenge for the 33rd Cup from a brand new Spanish yacht club. Larry Ellison's BMW Oracle racing team objected. They felt that the Spanish club was a manufactured entity that did not meet the terms of the deed of gift, a short document drawn up in the late 1800s to govern the America's Cup. The Golden Gate Yacht Club, Ellison's challenging club, questioned the validity of the Spanish challenger in the New York courts and put in a challenge themselves. The courts found in their favour the Spanish club was invalid and BMW Oracle Racing became the official challenger. And Larry Ellison's team had other issues with the way Alinghi was proposing to run the next America's Cup. The lawyers on both sides were busy, but from the outside there did not appear to be much dialogue between the teams.
Why can't the two teams just get together? I mean, everyone wants to go sailing.
We don't like going into court, but they've got their latest idea was they said they can change the rules anytime and make up whatever rules they want. And that's just the most bizarre thing I've ever heard in my life. But that's why we originally went to court and sued Alinghi, because they had these rules that were so one-sided, so ridiculous, that only Alinghi could win. I mean, no one else had a chance.
It's a crazy thing to say because really there's no hidden agenda here. It's a deed of gift match, and certainly there's defender and challenger. But there is some benefits that go with being the defender, but obviously a lot of them have been negated through the New York courts. And but at the end of the day, ISAF are going to run the races or oversee them with the jury and the umpires, and we have to get on with it, and it's sport.
As the stalemate between the teams continued, further problems arose. The deed of gift states that the defender and challenger should decide the details for the next cup by mutual consent. If they can't, they must abide by a fallback plan in the deed, which sets out all conditions for the running of a match, including the parameters for the boats to be used. In Valencia in 2007, the boats were slow, heavy, 75-foot monohulls. The 33rd America's Cup will be very different indeed. The deed states that single-masted boats should be 90 foot long on the waterline. That's its only stipulation, and the fastest type of boat with a 90-foot waterline is a multi-hull.
It's a huge challenge for us on the design side. We're like a kid in a candy store. We have no rules to play with. We can try all crazy ideas that we want to try, and from that point of view, it's very exciting. It's going to be great coming up with boats unbelievably spectacular, and that aspect of it is great fun.
Both teams began a secretive design and build process, hiding behind closed doors to avoid the spying eyes of their bitter rivals. Speculation was rife about what each would reveal. When the curtains finally went back, out of the sheds rolled two of the most radically designed racing yachts ever built. Alinghi had created a catamaran. Team boss Ernesto Bertarelli was already an experienced cat sailor, but even for him, this was new ground.
I'm really excited. As you know, I started my sailing career, if I may call it that way, on multi-hulls, and they're fascinating machines. But this size, I've never tried, and I can't wait to see it sail on the lake.
Testing began immediately, and I even got the chance to take the wheel. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. But on the other side of the world, US team BMW Oracle Racing had their own monster to reveal, and they had added an extra hull to their European rivals.
I know you've seen Alinghi 5. I mean, even when we were there sailing it, the BMW Oracle boat was following close behind. What do you make of it?
Well, you know, it's a very nice boat. The interesting thing is both teams have sized their boats pretty similar in terms of overall length. They're within, you know, 1.5 meters of each other, and in terms of beam, they're within a few metres of each other. So, with this scale, it's pretty similar, and both boats will end up sailing on one hull. So, you know, I think it's going to be an interesting regatta, that's for sure. I mean, a lot of people concentrate on, well, there's a big difference between the trimaran and a catamaran. I actually don't think that's going to be the winning factor. I think some of the subtleties, like what foils the boats carry, how they use those foils, what type of sails or rigs the boat has, obviously what wind conditions you race in, even if it's a knot difference in wind speed, could alter the performance of these boats dramatically. And I think most of that will depend on what size sail plan you have on the boats.
I mean, hard to know though, you know, what to design when you don't know what you're up against. It's hard to keep a secret, huh?
It is hard to keep a secret when you've got this many people involved in constructing something that's this enormous and this complex, you know. The technology is definitely the interesting part of this program, or has been, and it'll be great to see these two giant, you know, beasts get together and race.
The two yachts do share many similarities, but they're very different approaches to the same problem. It's amazing what two teams of top designers can concoct if you give them a blank canvas and a few $1 million.
When I sailed on Alinghi, you know, it was quite hard to work out what everything did. You know, it was all carbon structure everywhere. But here, I get the feeling they've really simplified it. They've even taken away half the trampoline. It's very clean. I mean, it looks like it's a performance machine. I suppose the only thing which we haven't seen before is the canting mast. They can actually move the mast from side to side, and well, we'll see that in action in a minute. But it's a clean, slick racing machine.
As the boat leaves the dock, I get my chance to take the wheel of this cutting-edge monster. The scale of it is daunting, and becoming the only person in the world to have not only sailed both the multi-hulls, but to have steered them too is a unique and amazing moment for me. On this machine, it looks like the wheel will be given to Australian James Spittle for the competition.
We've joined you. The boat's just back in the water. It's had a whole lot of mods, but I mean, it's been like that from day one, hasn't it? I mean, it's a progression.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just the boats. When you look at when we first launched it to where it is now, it's really, really changed, and that's all part of the game. I mean, the America's Cup is a technology game and producing boat speed, and that's what we're here doing.
When we spoke to you earlier in the year about this, you know, you were all helmets and body armour, and in a way I got the feeling you were kind of really apprehensive of the boat, but now it's a lot more relaxed. Is it just kind of got used to it?
Yeah, I think it's like an in-year class. It's just spending the time in the boat and getting used to it. I mean, it really was a different animal to what we're all used to. But now, having spent time and done the hours on the boat, I mean, it is just another boat. It's obviously, you know, quite a bit different to most boats, but you know, the principles are the same, and no, certainly we've all become a lot more comfortable. I mean, obviously you can see the netting's gone, the safety bar is gone. We've gone into full race mode, so it's just been a general progression.
It's going to be pretty nerve-wracking, isn't it? You know, if the America's Cup happens in February, the first time you line up with your competitor.
Yeah, I think so, but exciting. You know, I think it'll. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just can't wait.
So first impressions, yes, it's an amazing machine, but in a way much more conventional, I think, than Alinghi. And Alinghi, it was hard to work out, you know, what everything did. There was carbon structure everywhere. This is very simple. I mean, it just looks ready to go racing. Hardly any crew now either. Sailing with a crew of 6 or 7 is going to be an incredible contest.
So much of this America's Cup will come down to design and technology, and both teams have invested huge amounts of money, time and effort into their groundbreaking boats. Whose is better? Whose is faster? No one will really know until they line up against each other to race for real.
Having been on board with Alinghi and BMW Oracle giant radical multi-hulls, I find the prospect of them both lining up for an America's Cup shootout mouth-watering. But getting them both there for a match, well, that's a whole different story. More about that after the break.